He's got the story, he's got the fight, bringing you the truth, day and night. For liberty's sake, we're taking flight. Go right with Peter Boykin, it's feeling right. Go right, go right, go right news. With Peter Boykin, we're making moves. Freedom and liberty, always on the rise. Tune into the truth and open your eyes. Reel it on Baru with Peter Boykin. We're making moves. Freedom and liberty, always on the rise. Tune in to the truth and open your eyes.
In a pivotal decision with significant implications for the legal proceedings against President-elect Donald Trump in Georgia, that's Georgia in the United States, not in the whole world, an appellate court has disqualified Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis from continuing her role in prosecuting Donald Trump and his co-defenders for alleged election interference. This disqualification stems from Willis's relationship with Nathan Wade, a special prosecutor she appointed, which the court found created an appearance of impropriety during the critical stages of deciding whom to prosecute and what charges to bring. The court's ruling, disqualification, the Georgia Court of Appeals in a 2-1 decision ruled that Judge Scott McAfee of the Fulton County Superior Court erred by not disqualifying Willis and her office initially, given the conflict of interest presented by her relationship with Wade. This decision not only removes Willis, but also her entire office from the case, arguing that no remedy short of disqualification could restore public faith in the judicial process. This is the case's status. Despite the significant blow to the prosecution, the underlying charges against Donald Trump and his co-defendants remain intact. They're still zombieing around. The indictment has not been dismissed, keeping the case alive, but in a state of uncertainty. And what are the next steps? The task of finding a replacement prosecutor now falls on Pete Skandalowski. Skandalowski, I don't forget it. The executive director of the Prosecuting Attorneys Council of the state of Georgia. Under Georgia law, when a district attorney is disqualified, that scandalous, whatever, has several options. Appoint a current member of the Prosecuting Attorneys Council, select a competent attorney outside the council, or request to appoint another district attorney, solicitor general, or a retired prosecuting attorney. That same S word has previously navigated similar waters when Willis was disqualified from another investigation due to a conflict of interest. Wow, there's a pattern. His comments to NBC News earlier highlighted the challenge of finding a neutral party in a case of entangled with politics, acknowledging that while politics would play a role, the aim would be to find someone who could base decisions purely on available evidence. Good luck with that. The zombie prosecution continued legal limbo with Willis out. The case now resembles a zombie prosecution. Must prosecute Trump. Must prosecute Trump. Still technically alive, but without the original prosecutor to give it direction. This situation poses it never had a brain to begin with. This situation poses a unique challenge, as whoever takes over will need to review the existing evidence and decide whether to proceed with the current charges or potentially dismiss them. Here's some potential outcomes. The new prosecutor could choose several paths: continue the prosecution, proceed with the charges as they stand, which might mean navigating through political and legal minefields, modify charges, adjust the scope or nature of the charges based on a fresh review, dismiss, opt to drop the case. That's what they should do. That's what they should. If they believe it lacks merit or pursuing it would not serve the justice or public interest. Yet drop the case. It's stupid. Appeals and delays. Willis could appeal the appellate court's decision to the Georgia Supreme Court, further delaying proceedings. Given that all the justices in the Georgia Supreme Court were appointed by Republican governors, the outcome of such an appeal remains uncertain. Tough luck, tough cookie, said the biddy with the cow don't drink, or something like that. The opinion of my opinion. So this case serves as a stark reminder of the complexities involved when legal proceedings interact or intersect with high-profile political figures. The disqualification of Willis due to a perceived conflict of interest underscores the critical need for transparency and ethical conduct in legal pursuits. It highlights the delicate balance between prosecutorial discretion and personal relationships, which, when mishandled, can undermine public trust in judicial outcomes. The saga of this prosecution now hinges not just on legal merits, but on the integrity of the legal justice system itself. It calls into questions how our constitutional republic manages to ensure justice is not only done, but is seen to be done, especially in cases that could influence national political landscapes. The appointment of new prosecutor will be a litmus test for the impartial application of law, emphasizing the necessity for accountability at every level of legal proceedings. Watch as MSNBC legal analyst lays out what likely happens next after Fani Willis was booted from the Donald Trump case.
Barbara, how crippling is this to the case, removing DA Fani Willis from the entire case?
Yes, I think this is a real blow for the prosecution. Of course, this is a decision by the Georgia Court of Appeals. I imagine that Willis will appeal it to the Georgia Supreme Court before any other action is taken. But make no mistake, this is a terrible blow to the prosecution. On the one hand, the decision says, despite Georgia law that says ordinarily we do not remove a prosecutor for merely an appearance of a conflict of interest. We require an actual conflict of interest. The court here said, but we're going to make a rare exception in this case because it's so important. The dissenting judge really goes off on that to say that this is exactly why we have rules, so that even in important cases we follow them. But if this stands, the court here said she's disqualified, but the indictment remains intact. What we will see is what we saw in the case of one of the defendants, Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones, who you may recall, Fani Willis had held a fundraiser against his opponent and was disqualified from that case. That sent the whole case out of her office, because if a prosecutor is disqualified, her whole office is disqualified. That means it goes to a central Georgia coordinating council where it's decided whether the case will go further. And in that case, the director of that organization said the case against Burt Jones should go no further. And I would expect we may see the same result with this RICO prosecution.